On Tuesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott informed everyone via tweet that Texas was lifting the mask requirements, its mask mandates, for its 29 million residents, and will allow business to fully reopen at 100% capacity, not reduced capacity. He's just like, just open it up already. We're done. We're done with this whole COVID thing. It's over. That's actually not, but because it is facing pushback from not only experts, medical experts, but also local Texas officials. They are not happy about this either. So as I said, it was announced via tweet. There are a couple of tweets in this thread. Here's one of them. He said, too many Texans have been sidelined from employment opportunities. Too many small business owners have struggled to pay their bills. This must end. It is now time to open Texas 100%. He followed up by pushing some stats here. More than 7 million vaccinations will be given by next week. We do about 1 million a week. We gave 216,000 shots today alone. More than 50% of seniors will be vaccinated. Hospitalizations and the positivity rate are lowest in 4 months. All Texans know the safe practices. All right, so now here's the thing. Those numbers are okay, that's good, right? Yes, we want more vaccines. We want more people being vaccinated. We want all that stuff. Now, the Trump administration kind of screwed us on that for a while because they didn't have a vaccine reserve. They didn't get them. They didn't really have a plan to be able to get that many people vaccinated. So the Trump administration definitely dropped the ball. No mention about that. Also, no mention about how the Biden administration has actually had to pick that up and has done some things that have absolutely, helped get more people vaccinated. That's a good thing. And to get vaccines out there. But even so, the Biden administration has been lagging behind a little bit as well. And again, there's only so much you can do when the administration before you kind of sucked. But all right. Anyway, the number of vaccinations, okay, that's good. That's not nearly enough. I mean, right now, less than 7% of Texans are fully vaccinated. So, you need about 90% vaccination rate to reach herd immunity. Herd immunity is when you can actually open up. You're at 7%. You got to be at 90. You're kind of far away. Not good. And by the way, the number, he says there was a drop in cases, right, over the last month. It's actually, there was a drop and then it's plateaued. And so that is the number of cases have declined, right? And and here's the other thing. The number of testing has also declined. So really there can be new cases popping up, but if there's not testing to, confirm the numbers, then, well, I mean, the absence of tests does not mean that an absence of cases. So I don't think they're as ready as they think. But, Greg Abbott doesn't really care. Greg Abbott is doing this for political reasons because he wants to open up his state. He wants to say, look at me. We've done such a fantastic job. I mean, not with the ice storm, not with the power grid or not anything like that. But look at that. We've been able to open up restaurants. Go have at it. Everybody get your ass back to work. Wow. That's, of course, in opposition to many health officials. For example, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Here's what she said. I know people are tired. They want to get back to life, to normal, but we're not there yet. Believe me, nothing bums me out more than, not being able to get back to normal. It's true. We still got we still got a while to go. We still got probably about at least half a year until we can start to open up and get back to normal. It sucks. And really, we can't get back to normal. It's more of like a return to some semblance of normal, okay? And for me personally, I want to go back to getting inside of a restaurant. I want to go out and I want to visit family members, but what we got to do is we got to get people vaccinated first. We've got to drop those cases. And we got to get people protected. So until we do that, we're kind of stuck. Now, here's another expert here, Robert Horsford, who's an epidemiologist at the Boston University School of Public Health. Here's what he said. We are hopefully in between what I hope will be the last big wave and the beginning of the period where I hope COVID will become very uncommon. But we don't know that. I've been advocating for us to just hang tight for at least 4 to 6 more weeks. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than that because, again, you have states that are opening up too quickly, and you also have people that are refusing to get vaccines and refusing to wear masks. So the thing that always frustrates me, of course, is where they're like, you have people that are like, mask tyranny. I'm not going to wear the mask. You're never going to muzzle me, liberals. Okay, well, if you don't want to wear the mask, then get the vaccine. I don't want to get the vaccine either. Well, then what do you want to do? Spread the virus around to people? Because that's what you're doing. It's ridiculous. It's incredibly frustrating dealing with those types of people. Now, there's more here. Jennifer Nuzzo, another epidemiologist at Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, said that there are signs that the country may be through the worst, but says that states, as a result of numbers that are going down, are opening too quickly, repeating the same mistakes they made earlier in the pandemic when you loosen the rules. And of course, that ended up driving gigantic spikes in new cases. In fact, Dr. Nuzzo says, quote, rather than opening a few lower risk things and seeing just to make sure it doesn't change the numbers, it just feels like they're kind of open at the floodgates. Yeah, that kind of feels like that. It really does feel like that. Like they're like, yeah, just get everything open already. Back to normal. Get everybody back to work. You're going to get people killed. And now, interestingly enough, there are some provisions in the reopening of Texas that have local officials very unhappy about this. You've got mayors and county judges in some of Texas's largest urban areas that are criticizing this. Here's a Republican, Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price. She called the order premature and asked them to allow more people to get vaccinated, which, again, is smart policy. Quote, I am calling on Governor Abbott to open up an additional vaccine tier categories so that more people are eligible to get a vaccine if they want one. Price said in a statement, as the state's directive has changed, so must our response. Now more than ever, vaccines and testing must be readily available. Now, look, here in Michigan, Governor Whitmer just made it so that everybody over the age of 50 are now able to go and get vaccines. It was relegated to people who were, sick, had pre-existing conditions, things like that. And so, okay, that's good. You're expanding that out, but Michigan is also not completely reopening everything, unlike what Texas is doing. And Texas hasn't increased the vaccine eligibility. They're just like, 7%, good enough. Get out there. Get out there and make Daddy Abbott proud by dying of COVID like a true Texan. It's like the Alamo, but with fail. It's the Failamo. What it is. All right, so now city and county officials also urge residents in their area to still follow recommendations from health experts and officials that call for wearing face masks in public. Look, if there was actually a mandate, and there was, and people didn't follow it, what makes you think that a polite suggestion is also going to work? It's not. It's not. But here's Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins. Here's what they're saying. We need to focus not on what the governor tells you the law allows, but what the doctors and the facts and the science that we all know well at this point tell us is necessary to keep us safe and give us our best chance of reaching herd immunity as quickly as possible. And as I said before, that is making sure that everybody has vaccines. And there's only so many vaccines that you can not only manufacture, ship out, but also get into the arms of regular people. And so right now, we just don't have enough available. And the administration is attempting to do so. But again, there's only so much you can do. All right. So now there's more outrage, and some of it comes from the latest order not allowing local leaders to enforce mask mandates if they so choose. The order also removes the ability of local leaders to compel businesses to require their customers wear face masks. So that's the other thing. So now it's like, well, not only are you not able to, as a locality or as a city, do mask mandates, right? But also we can't tell you to compel businesses to, or I'm sorry, we say that you cannot compel businesses to order that your customers wear masks as well. So here we go. Texas is becoming COVID central. That's what's going to happen. Now, the order establishes that nothing precludes businesses or other establishments from requiring employees or customers to follow additional hygiene measures, including the wearing of a face covering. But of course, that's once again a polite suggestion. Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf, as a response to all of this, said this: "I'm very disappointed. It's an irresponsible action. We are still not out of the woods, and I think it's very premature to do this." Now, Wolf is one of the first county judges to force businesses to use these mask mandates in June of last year. So he did that by actually being smart, reading the order, and finding a loophole. Now, that loophole in Abbott's previous order, which didn't allow local leaders to establish mandates, he was able to find a way around that. Okay. And now with the new order, well, they plugged that loophole. They said that, oh, no, by the way, some people were getting around this to do mask mandates. Well, now you can't. Oh, great. Okay. In response, Wolf said this: he plugged that hole. He allowed businesses to do what they want to do. Wolf said that Abbott's latest order leaves counties limited to encouraging people to wear masks and socially distance. That's about all we can do from what we interpreted. Great. So you're not allowing localities to do the things that they think that they're going to do, that they would like to do. Okay. So that sucks. In El Paso County, a county that's seen more than 2,000 COVID-19 related deaths, County Judge Ricardo Samaniego tweeted that Abbott's order on masks would, quote, be equivalent to him stating that we don't have to wear our seatbelts, but it would be a good idea if we did. Oh, okay. Yeah, it'd be a great idea. It's still amazing out there that there are people that are like, you shouldn't force me to wear seatbelts. But, okay, but do you want to go flying out the windshield of your car in an accident? Is that what you want to happen? And the response that baffles me is they're like, yeah, it's my freedom to fly through the windshield. Okay, but it's not your freedom to smash into someone else's car with your limp, dead body. You ever thought of that? I mean, seriously, that's what's going on. Okay, again, this whole thing isn't really about your personal freedom. Okay, what this is, your freedom, your personal freedom stops when you start affecting other people. So, if you get a disease or whatever and it's not transmissible, all right, hey, that's your problem, I guess. But when you spread it around to other people, that's when it gets to be a community problem. And that's when the community can come and say, okay, we need to put in some, safety precautions so you don't spread this disease around to everybody else in the community. Because you're screwing the rest of us. So, there you go. All right. Let's see. One more here. This is Harris County Judge Linda Hidalgo. Here's what she said. With the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines, we're inching closer to the finish line of this pandemic. Okay, good. Now is not the time to reverse the gains we've worked so hard to achieve. At best, today's decision is wishful thinking. At worst, it's a cynical attempt to distract Texans from the failures of state oversight of our power grid. Now, that 100%. All right. This is what this is basically being seen as is a political move. Texans are understandably very pissed off that the Texas power grid was so easily knocked out during the recent storm. They failed to weatherize. They decided we weren't going to follow regulations. We're going to allow corporations to cut corners, but for cheaper prices, right? Hey, it's competition. It's the hand of the market, right? And so they allowed this, and one of the ways they cut corners and cut costs and were able to cut costs for consumers in order to appeal to them is to not weatherize their equipment. So you had wind turbines, you had gas, basically gas plants that froze. They were not able to deliver energy to their customers. And in some cases, with the very limited cutthroat market that, Texans pay a lot of market rates, okay, for their electricity. Well, they ended up getting, as a result of deregulation, massive energy bills that they can't afford to pay, sometimes up to $10,000. And so, yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. And because the scarcity, of course, forced up the price. So what you had here is an absolute failure of the Texas government to be able to make sure that stuff like this doesn't actually happen. So, and look, again, they were mad. The people were mad, and understandably so. And their officials were nowhere to be found. Ted Cruz, he fled to Cancun. He left. And then when people got mad and called him out, that's when he came back and started doing quote unquote charity work, right? To try to help his constituents. In reality, if he wasn't called out, he would have been in Cancun until this was over. Let's be honest, on vacation. So this feels like, to me, a way to get the heat off the governor and his terrible response, because the buck stops there, by saying, hey, look, Texans, freedom, back to normal. So let's all go out, distract ourselves with movies and eating indoors, and you don't have to wear a mask anymore. That's fine. No mask required. Everybody go distract yourselves and be happy, because understandable, most people want to get back to normal. Most people want to hear that it's safe. We all want to, get back to living our lives. And so that would, understandably, that would get a lot of people to forget, I think, about the failures of the Texas government in dealing with these natural disasters. That's my read of it. But at the same time, here you have doctors, judges, local officials. They're all screaming, no, don't do it. We're not prepared for this. We're not prepared for this. This is going to end up being a disaster, because there will be a spike in cases as a result. That's going to suck, because here you have people that are going to go out. They're going to flood the bars. They're going to flood the restaurants. A lot of them aren't going to wear masks. Some of them will, but it's just going to end up going very badly. And that's the problem. All right. And so this is bad. And also, we have more infectious variants out there of this virus now than we had before. So before, it was very infectious. Now we had the variants coming from the UK, for example, that are even more infectious. And then you have Governor Abbott just saying, just go, spread out, go forth and spend money. It's not smart. It's really, really stupid. And it could lead to a nightmare scenario of a variant that mutates because they're not going to check the spread of this virus. They're just going to go, what if it mutates to where we don't have a vaccine for it anymore? That the vaccine is no longer has It's no longer, it doesn't work. I mean, what's going to end up with that? What's going to end up there? And so it's not going to be a good situation. And that's the nightmare scenario. I hope that doesn't happen. I really don't. But that's why I say that maybe we should be a little bit more careful. Maybe Texas needs to slow it down just a little bit more until they have higher vaccination rates. Unfortunately, what we're seeing now from Ted Cruz, Greg Abbott, a lot of these Texas Republican officials that are higher up in the state that don't actually care about the local communities. Well, I mean, we see that their political careers are far more important than their constituents. They're ironically bending to a small mob of anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, conspiracy theorists, and by doing all these haphazard openings, despite not being ready at all. Hospitals are going to be full, and so this is not going to go well in Texas. It's not going to go well, and it sucks because all they needed to do was hold out just a little bit longer, get as many people vaccinated as possible, hit that herd immunity, and then, you know what? We can go back to living our lives. I feel like everybody who's been so careful and that, has tried to do everything they can to avoid getting coronavirus, well, they're going to get screwed over because, well, you got to go back to work now. Okay. You got to go back to work, get exposed to COVID. And I mean, that's it. That's it. It's not a good situation. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.